What if the biggest surprise of the FIFA World Cup 2026 isn't over yet? What if the team that almost nobody expected to survive the group stage is now preparing to challenge one of football's greatest superpowers? Because that's exactly the story of Paraguay versus France. On one side, you have France, a nation filled with world-class talent, former world champions, and players who have spent years competing in the biggest matches imaginable. On the other side, you have Paraguay, the underdogs, the fighters, the team that has already shocked the football world once. And here's the dangerous thing about the World Cup. It doesn't care about reputations, it doesn't care about transfer values, and it definitely doesn't care about predictions. Every 4 years, football gives us one story that nobody saw coming. Could Paraguay become that story? Or are they about to run into a French machine that is simply too powerful to stop? To answer that question, we need to understand how these two teams arrived at this moment. Let's start with France. For years, France has been a production factory of football talent. Their depth is almost unfair. While most national teams struggle to replace one injured player, France can leave world-class stars on the bench and still field one of the strongest lineups on the planet. And leading the charge is one man, Kylian Mbappe. At only 27 years old, he already has achievements that many legends never reached in their entire careers. World Cup winner, multiple Golden Boot races, countless goals in major tournaments. Every time he steps onto the field, defenders know one thing. One mistake and the game is over. But France is not just Mbappe. Their midfield controls matches with incredible calm. Their fullbacks push high and stretch defenses. Their attackers constantly rotate positions, creating confusion and opening spaces that seem impossible to defend. In this tournament, France have looked exactly like a team that believes destiny belongs to them. They score goals, they dominate possession, and perhaps most importantly, they never panic. Even when opponents sit deep and defend with everyone behind the ball, France keep attacking, wave after wave, minute after minute. Eventually, most teams break, but Paraguay have already shown that they are not like most teams. This team wasn't supposed to be here. Many experts predicted they would struggle. Some believed they would be eliminated early. Instead, they have become one of the stories of the tournament. Their stunning victory over a European giant reminded the world why knockout football is so dangerous. Paraguay don't need the ball to hurt you. They don't need 15 chances. They don't even need to dominate a match. They simply need one moment, one counter attack, one corner, one free kick, one mistake. And suddenly, everything changes. That's exactly what makes this match fascinating. France want to control everything. Paraguay want chaos. France want long periods of possession. Paraguay want moments. France want to play beautiful football. Paraguay don't care how the game looks as long as they survive. And survival has become their greatest weapon. Historically, Paraguay have built their football identity around discipline and resilience. They are a nation that loves defensive organization. They frustrate opponents. They make games ugly. They force favorites into uncomfortable situations. The longer the score stays level, the more dangerous they become because pressure changes everything. Imagine this game reaches halftime at 0-0. Suddenly the French players start asking questions. Why haven't we scored? What if we concede? What if we're heading toward penalties? That tiny bit of doubt can become enormous. And Paraguay know it. They have spent this entire tournament proving that belief can sometimes be stronger than talent. But there is one huge problem. France are experts at breaking defensive teams. When opponents sit back, France attack from the wings. They spread the defense from side to side. They force defenders into impossible decisions. Do you stay narrow and leave space out wide? Or do you close down the wings and allow players like Mbappe to attack the center? Either choice can be fatal. Another reason France are so dangerous is their patience. They don't need to score in the first 10 minutes. They are happy to keep moving the ball, keep probing, and keep waiting. Eventually, spaces appear. Eventually, defenders get tired. Eventually, concentration slips. And that's when France strike. Still, World Cups have produced miracles before. Nobody expected Greece to win the European Championship. Nobody expected Croatia to reach a World Cup final. Nobody expected Morocco to make history in 2022. Football has a funny way of reminding us that impossible things happen. And that is exactly why millions of fans around the world will be watching this match. Because somewhere deep down, every football fan loves an underdog. We love seeing giants fall. We love believing that anything can happen. But can Paraguay really pull off another miracle? Or are they about to face the harsh reality of playing one of the best teams in international football? The answer might come down to one thing: the first goal. Because if France score early, the entire game changes. Paraguay would be forced to attack. They would have to leave spaces. And against France, leaving spaces can be a death sentence. But if Paraguay somehow survive the opening stages, if they reach halftime without conceding, then suddenly one of the biggest upsets of the tournament may become very, very real. And that's where this story gets even more interesting. Because the psychological battle between these two teams could decide everything. Football is often decided by tactics, but World Cup matches, they're often decided by emotions. And that may be the biggest factor in France versus Paraguay. For France, anything less than lifting the trophy feels like failure. That's the burden of being a football superpower. Every match comes with enormous expectations. Every missed chance creates pressure. Every mistake becomes a headline. The players know it. The fans know it. The entire world knows it. Paraguay, meanwhile, are playing with freedom. Nobody expected them to be here. Nobody demanded they reach the quarterfinals. Everything from this point forward feels like a bonus. And teams with nothing to lose are incredibly dangerous. They play without fear. They take risks. They fight for every ball because they know opportunities like this don't come often. This emotional contrast could make the opening minutes fascinating. France will likely dominate possession. Paraguay will likely defend with incredible discipline. The question is simple: how long can they hold on? Because history suggests that eventually France find a way. They have too much quality, too much experience, too many players capable of changing a game with one touch. But World Cups aren't played on paper. That's why they're magical. Let's imagine the different scenarios. Scenario 1. France score early. In that case, the match could become extremely difficult for Paraguay. They would need to abandon their defensive structure and attack more aggressively. That would leave spaces behind. And France are ruthless when they see open grass in front of them. Mbappe running into space is one of the most terrifying sights in football. One chance can become two, two can become three, and suddenly the match is over. Scenario 2. Paraguay survive until halftime. Now things become interesting. The French players start feeling pressure. The crowd becomes nervous. Paraguay begin to believe. One set piece, one lucky bounce, one counter attack, and suddenly the impossible starts looking possible. That's why knockout football is so special. Momentum changes in seconds. Heroes appear from nowhere and legends are born. There is also another factor that many people overlook: fatigue. France have incredible depth. Their bench is full of players who would start for most countries in the world. Paraguay don't have that luxury. If this becomes a physically demanding game, France may gain an even bigger advantage as the minutes pass. Fresh legs can completely change a knockout match. A tired defense is vulnerable, and France know exactly how to exploit tired defenders. Still, Paraguay have already proven they possess something that statistics cannot measure: heart, belief, courage. The qualities that sometimes produce football miracles. And perhaps that's why this match feels so intriguing. It's not simply favorite versus underdog. It's order versus chaos, power versus resilience, expectation versus hope. The football world expects France to win. The betting markets expect France to win. Most analysts expect France to win. But the World Cup has never cared about expectations. And that is why this game matters. Because for 90 minutes, maybe longer, an entire nation will dare to dream. Paraguay will step onto the pitch believing they can shock the world again. France will step onto the pitch determined to prove why they are among the favorites to become world champions. Only one team can continue. Only one dream survives. If France win, it will be another step toward football immortality. If Paraguay win, it could become one of the greatest stories in World Cup history. And maybe that's the beauty of this sport. Before the whistle blows, nobody truly knows what will happen. Not the fans, not the experts, not even the players themselves. Because football always leaves room for one more surprise, one more miracle, one more unforgettable night. France may have the stars, Paraguay may have the belief, but when the lights shine brightest and the entire world is watching, only one thing is certain: the World Cup always gives us a story worth remembering.